Welcome to the English podcast.
Welcome to the deep dive, where we take these complex stacks of sources and just pull out the clearest, most immediate insights.
And today we're tackling something that seems so simple, but really isn't.
No, it's that very open-ended request. Tell me about yourself. It's maybe the most anxiety-inducing social challenge there is.
It really is.
I mean, it sounds so easy, right? But whether you're, I don't know, standing in front of a new class or you're at a networking event.
Or even just meeting someone new.
Yeah, exactly. That question, it just causes this immediate panic in so many of us. So our mission for this deep dive is to basically cut through all that noise. We've synthesized a whole lot of material to give you a clear, structured framework, a blueprint, really.
A blueprint for a response that sounds natural, friendly, and, well, confident.
Exactly.
And it's true. For you, the learner, the challenge isn't just speaking the words. It's that split-second judgment call you have to make.
What's relevant? What do I share?
Right. How much is too much? Do they care about my career pivot? Or should I, lead with my passion for vintage vinyl? It's tricky.
And the sources all agree that this moment really requires strategic communication. If you ramble, you just lose their attention.
But if you're too brief, you can come across as guarded or cold.
The goal is to give just enough specific, relatable information, what we're calling hooks, that lets the other person just seamlessly join the conversation.
Exactly. And that's why the material we've looked at offers what we've dubbed the 3 core parts.
Okay.
It's a simple, repeatable framework. It helps you manage the pacing and the content so you convey what's necessary, but you're actively controlling the narrative.
So mastering this moment really means mastering your first impression.
It's everything.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's see the framework in action.
Yeah, let's look at some examples.
We'll pull 2 from the source material that just perfectly show how a structured approach can still sound, casual and engaging. First up, we have a guy named George. He kind of exemplifies the approachable professional.
Right.
He starts with his basics. Part 1, name, George. Origin. He's originally from London, but, and this is a key detail, he's been living in Barcelona for 5 years.
And right there, you have context. You have a potential connection point, that move to Barcelona.
Exactly. Then he shifts right into part 2, his work. He says he's an English teacher and a podcast co-host.
But here's where the strategy really kicks in. He doesn't just stop there.
No.
He connects his job to his location by jumping into part 3, his interests. He loves hiking in the mountains near the city. He's an amateur photographer.
These are such concrete visual details you can almost picture.
You can.
And then there's the detail that everyone remembers. He says he enjoys trying to cook Spanish food, with this witty little confession that his paella still needs work.
And that's the magic right there.
Oh.
It creates an instant warmth.
It does.
What's fascinating here, and this is a key psychological insight from the sources, is that George strategically included a point of vulnerability.
The failing paella.
The failing paella. He avoided sounding like some sterile resume because he used a little self-deprecating humor. And, it works so well because genuine connection is built on relatability, not perfection.
That makes sense.
When you show a small, harmless flaw, you're signaling that you're approachable. You're inviting the other person to share their own imperfect experiences.
Wait, but what if I'm in a more high-stakes setting, like meeting a potential business partner or a new boss? Should I maybe omit the paella detail?
That's a crucial distinction. And the framework is designed to be flexible.
Okay.
George's intro is perfect for a medium-stakes social interaction like a classroom or casual networking.
Right.
But in a high-stakes scenario, your part 3 might shift from recreational hobbies to more professional hobbies. Like I spend my evenings learning Python, or I volunteer mentoring new professionals. The strategic omission, or I guess the strategic inclusion, is everything. You pick the hooks that serve the context.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, so now let's look at Elisa. Her introduction leans more into passion.
Yeah, a more creative focus.
So she starts with her basics: name, Elisa, origin, Toronto, Canada. But when she gets to part 2, she layers on the passion.
Mm-hmm.
She says she's a graphic designer, but she immediately refines that. She says she's specifically passionate about creating illustrations for children's books.
That specificity is just a nugget of gold.
It is.
Instead of just a generic title that could mean anything, she told us exactly what she cares about. It conveys commitment and talent all at once.
And her interests follow that same path. She's an avid reader of mystery novels specifically, and she loves doing yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And she adds this final, very deliberate layer of personal philosophy. She explains why she does the podcast. Her belief that learning English should be fun and should connect people.
And if we look at the psychology of that, Elisa is using her introduction to establish not just her job, but her values.
Right.
This is so effective in fields where, emotional intelligence and passion are really highly valued.
Yeah.
By articulating a belief learning should be fun, she's attracting people who share that same value.
So both of them, George and Elisa, they managed to be concise, memorable, and they gave us these immediate conversational entry points.
Exactly. They avoided the cost of just unstructured rambling.
So we've seen how this works in practice. Now let's really internalize the specific foundational structure. This is your blueprint.
Okay, so it starts with the core 3 parts. Part 1, the basics.
Your identity anchor.
That's a good way to put it. Name and where you're from.
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate it. The goal is just clarity and context.
Then you move smoothly into part 2, your work or studies.
Mm-hmm. This establishes your main focus. It answers that implied question.
Mm-hmm.
How do you spend most of your productive time?
And then critically, part 3, your interests or hobbies.
And this is the humanizing element. This is your chance to show personality, create that common ground we talked about, and provide those hooks.
Now, let's talk about the nuance here, because just rigidly following these 3 parts in every single situation, that's a recipe for a bad introduction.
Absolutely. The sources really emphasize that the power of this structure is in its flexibility. It's about your ability to weight the answer.
Okay, what do you mean by wait?
Well, say you're at a professional conference. You're cold networking. You might spend, say, 60% of your time on part 2, your work.
And just quickly mention part 1?
Exactly. And then you just briefly touch on part 3 with a hobby that's been strategically chosen to signal something like discipline.
Like running marathons or learning a challenging skill?
Yes. But if you're joining a book club, you need to flip that weighting completely.
Okay, so you'd spend maybe 20% on your job.
Right. I'm a software engineer during the day.
But I'm really into speculative fiction and trying to perfect my sourdough starter.
You got it. You prioritize the human connection. This strategic weighting prevents one of the biggest mistakes people make.
Which is?
Answering a social question with a professional resume. You have to adjust the emphasis based on what the listener expects.
And building on that strategic idea, the material also introduces an optional but really powerful 4th part.
The future goal.
The future goal. This seems particularly useful in networking or academic settings.
It is. If you connect this to the bigger picture, the future goal shifts the focus from who you were or who you are.
To who you're becoming.
Exactly. It adds momentum. By stating a goal, you signal ambition, and you open the door for the listener to maybe even participate in that journey. Maybe they know someone who can help.
So think of examples like, I'm studying to take the Cambridge English exam. That signals academic focus.
Or, I'm hoping to travel to Australia next year.
Right, that signals a specific, exciting plan. Including this goal makes everything you're doing right now feel more relevant to your future self.
It's an immediate qualifier for your current status. Your listener isn't just meeting you, they're getting invested in what you're working towards.
Okay, so we've got the strategic structure down. We understand the psychology of it. But structure is, well, it's useless without the right language to make it all sound seamless and natural.
Right. This is where we get into specific phraseology.
Let's start with part A, starting the conversation. The basics. The default is always, my name is.
But we want something more dynamic, something that sounds like a real conversation.
So instead, try leading with a greeting. It feels more like a social handshake. Something like, hello, I'm...
Or if it's a bit warmer, hi there, my name's.
Yeah, that's good. And for origin, describing where you're from.
The phrasing here implies connection. So things like, I'm originally from, or the very direct, I come from.
And as we saw with George, sometimes you need to show a transition between two places.
Right.
And the sources give a perfect structure for that. I was born in, say, London, but I live now in Barcelona. It communicates complexity without being complicated.
Now moving on to part B. Describing work or studies. This part needs to be efficient.
Quick and clear.
So the primary phrase is still the gold standard, just for its clarity. I work as A.
Simple.
But if you want to elevate that role to imply it's central to who you are professionally, you can use I'm a B by profession.
Oh, that adds a little formality, a bit of gravitas.
It does. It's more than just a job. And for students, part 2 is best served by just stating, I'm currently studying.
Clear. To the point.
And finally, part C, discussing hobbies and interests. This is where your personality gets to shine, and the language you choose really dictates the intensity of your passion.
Right. We need to banish the bland, I like.
Please.
For sharing what you truly enjoy, the sources suggest, in my free time, I love.
And if you need a phrase that signals real, genuine enthusiasm, you can use the slightly more informal, I'm really into.
That one signals you've gone deep on that topic.
It does. And for those interests that really define you, like Elisa's illustration work, you want to convey the highest level of commitment.
So you'd say.
I'm passionate about. This is a high-impact phrase. Use it sparingly for your really defining interests.
And for those more casual things you do when you get a chance.
For those, use a conditional phrase. When I have time, I enjoy. These subtle differences in phrasing let you modulate the intensity you're conveying for each detail.
All right, let's tie this all together. We have the structure, we've got the language, we understand the strategic weighting. Let's look at Marco, the student, and see how he pulls it all together. And then maybe we can contrast him with a more formal example.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Marco's introduction is a perfect low-stakes application. It incorporates all 4 parts so effectively.
Okay, so he starts with the basics. Hi, I'm Marco. I'm from Naples, Italy.
Direct, clear, approachable. Nailed it.
He immediately defines his studies. I'm currently a university student studying engineering.
Yep, efficient use of that currently studying phrase.
Next, his hobbies. And he uses that high engagement language. In my spare time, I play football with my friends and I'm learning to play the guitar.
And notice the specificity there. It's not just, I like sports. It's, I play football with my friends.
Right. And he finishes really strong with that optional goal, linking his current actions to his future.
He says, I listen to this podcast to improve my English for my future career. It's concise, informative, and really engaging.
It's perfect. Okay, now let's invent, say, Sarah, a project manager meeting a client. This is a high-stakes scenario.
So she needs to emphasize part 2 and part 4 and minimize the really personal stuff.
Exactly. So she might say something like, hello, I'm Sarah, and I work in Chicago, though I'm originally from Dublin.
Okay, basics are covered.
I'm a senior project manager by profession, specializing in large-scale technological infrastructure rollouts.
Heavy emphasis on part 2, using that by profession phrase.
In my free time, I enjoy reading historical biographies, which I find useful for understanding leadership styles.
Ah, and there's this strategic hobby. It reinforces her professional identity. It signals discipline, strategic thinking.
Totally. And then her goal. I'm hoping to launch a new consulting firm next quarter focusing on optimizing supply chain logistics.
See the difference? Sarah used the same structure, but she weighted part 2 heavily and used part 3 as a supporting detail for her professionalism, not vulnerability.
That ability to adapt the weighting and the specific details is really what elevates this framework. It's not just a checklist.
It's not. It gives you the mental space to focus on your delivery, on your confidence, instead of panicking about what to say.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? I mean, we've given you the mechanics, but the ultimate takeaway from all this material is that structure. Structure is what enables confidence and friendliness.
Absolutely. When you know what you're going to say, you can focus on how you say it.
And the major cost of not using a structure like this is you either ramble and lose their attention.
Or you freeze up and convey insecurity. This framework prevents both. Just practice that smile in your voice. Confidence is something people can feel even if they can't see you.
Right. So practical application is the key next step. We really encourage you to take this blueprint, plug in your own details using the phrases we talked about.
And try it out loud.
Yeah, try both a high-stakes and a low-stakes version of your introduction.
Repetition is how this moves from feeling like a script to being a genuine, immediate point of conversation. It gets easier every single time.
That's the power of the deep dive, really. Taking the social anxiety out of a simple exchange by giving you a reliable, strategic template.
Keep it simple,
Yeah.
keep it friendly, and structure it around your basics, your work, and your passions.
Exactly.
And since we focus so much today on the strategic need to give specific information, let's leave you with a final provocative thought.
Okay.
As you consciously shape your introduction, choosing between George's Paillet story or Sarah's biography story, and you strategically omit other details, you're creating a deliberately curated first impression. So what specific details about your life are you choosing to keep private to manage how others perceive your professionalism or your goals? And what does that intentional omission, what does that reveal about what you truly value?
That is a very strategic question to ponder as you start crafting your perfect introduction. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.
Keep practicing and keep learning.
We'll talk to you next time.
Subscribe to learn English.